uh, Thursday again. And so each time we plan and start an activity, we should start it with a standard indicative. I think that's what makes it real for little children. And I think at the end of the day, that is exactly what I feel Pan gets used to. So every Thursday, Pan jumps out of the box the minute to the bell. So, training the child, the mind to react and respond to a process. I think that's one very, very important part of learning. And this time, Pan is going to be is sitting with a lot of friends. So today, what I was doing is when I was designing today's activity, I made a whole lot of these little puppets, and I, recollected the time that I used to set up activities for my classroom. So each time I plan, we talked about domains, we talked about the list of activities, we talked about how to design curriculum. Now, a very important aspect is how to implement that design of the activity. I think sometimes it becomes so important to just understand in what form, in what way we want to take this activity to our children. And I think that's what makes the activity work effectively, or the children and the teachers struggle to complete it. So, a couple of points which I thought I must put together. And today, while I was reading up, while I was researching, I thought the best way to put this point across to you was the way I used to be in my classroom. And that is why I made these whole lot of puppets for you, and I only finished 20, but I'm going to make 20 of them talking to you, so that each time I do or suggest something, nobody must feel, oh my God, it's very time consuming and it takes so long. So what I've already done while I was preparing for the session was I've done these little cutouts of girls and boys and kept them ready, and it takes just a jiffy, because that is how early years teachers are. We are able to work really fast. So, when you're designing activities, a couple of things to keep in mind: that human life, man is a social animal. Children are even more social than we think they are. They will learn from experiences, they will learn from whatever interactions you have, but mostly they will learn from social interaction and peer learning. The kind of difference in learning when they are learning together. And I think this is during this online time, this is one thing which all of us are noticing, that we are giving them everything. They are learning. It's not like they're not, but somewhere they're missing that little day-to-day interaction, that, pairing up together, those little activities. So I thought that today what I'm going to do is create this little classroom of mine in my mind, and then do this session with you. So we talked about Gandhiji talking about the heart, the hand, and the head. We talked about there is, we have so many philosophers. Education is Maslow's talked about physical needs, safety, and most important, he also talked about belonging and esteem. How does that develop? How does that happen in early years when you actually connect children together into learning situations that also can be interpreted like that? Then Erickson talked about trust and mistrust. How does that happen if the children don't interact and we don't put them in situations which they learn how to trust, or they come across situations where they need to learn how to trust? Another very important thing that see, Howard Gardner talked about the multiple intelligences, how each one reacts in a different way. Maria Montessori talks about rhythms, discipline, interaction, and so beautifully talked about different age groups being in the same environment and choosing to do activities together. Now, all of that put together, how do we design the final activity setting? That's one big question that comes to our mind. How many? So, the most important thing is to be prepared. First of all, get your domains right, get the fact that children, are going to respond in a particular way. What are the list of activities for each of the domains? All that has to be kept into. So planning is very important. Another thing very important is uh, the the possibility. Then how to create the schedules, how to create a work schedule. What are the different settings that that particular activity can be done in? How do you introduce the settings to little children? So while I'm talking to you, I told you I will be talking to you and I'm going to try and make my 20 puppets, because an average classroom in India, what I calculate, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend 40 children in an early years classroom, but we do see these kind of strengths. So how does a teacher manage a setting of 30, 35 children in a classroom? We hope that at after the NEP, and especially now when the social distancing is going to become such an important part of the classroom, the numbers in classrooms in early years should go down. But it's not going to magically happen. So I used to always tell teachers that imagine the classroom to be in pairs. So if you put children in pairs, automatically you cut down the amount of planning to half. So suppose you have 30 children in the class and you make 15 pairs, automatically the design and the content and the resources required become 15. Now and how are the children going to get used to that? Now what we used to do is we used to plan little activities like, okay, go run, find your partner, and then just stand in front of your partner and let's play a quick game. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, clap your hands. Now clap and snap, clap and snap, clap and snap. Now change your partner, go find another partner. So go and pair up with a friend. Sometimes we used to distribute color cards. Sometimes we used to just distribute hats to the children and say, go find this child with the same colored hat, or go find the child with the same, maybe a cartoon or the same fruit or the same picture. And the children wouldn't realize, but they would start making pair arrangements. They would start connecting pairs. And we used to do the simplest of activities. And as the children got used to pair working, we would say this is now finding a pair. Or if you want to play a little song for the children, you would say, okay, as I play the song, you have to go and find a friend. Or all of you go find a friend to say hello. So slowly and gradually, each child would be introduced to find one partner. So that used to be one form of working. Now the next setting of the activity is small group working. So the pair working is the simplest initially, because the children don't have to adjust to too many people. So pair working becomes a very popular way of working for children, setting for activity. And you can set them in the most simple manner with little songs, with little jingles, with just letting them twist each other by playing these mirror games where you say, find your friend and, mirror. So slowly and slowly, or, singing the good morning song, good morning, good morning, good morning to you, or a namaste to you, and each time the child goes and finds a partner. So step one is actually introducing children to finding partners and setting your activities like that. The next kind of an activity setting is small group working, where 4 to 5 children are put into one small group, and then you work with that many resources. Now, small group working, for example, if you have 35, 40 children in the class and you have groups of 4, then you only have 10 groups to work with. So your activity design shifts from 40 resources to 10 resources. Like initially it shifted from 40 to 20. Now because we are perhaps going to be planning a slightly more complex activity, so we now double these pairs up and we make 4 children per group, and that becomes the small group working. That's the second form of working. The third form of working is team working, where you divide the class into 2 teams. And you tell them that, okay, team A and team B, and then this is how we are going to do the activities. The fourth and the most popular way of working is the circle time, the large group activity, where the teacher works with the children And the large group activity, the circle time, can be done so beautifully, with small movements saying it's circle time today. Girls and boys and girls, it's circle time today. Come and sit and see what I have for you. Is it old or is it something new? So the children, and then even for circle time, the pair working can happen in the sense, go find a friend and bring them to the circle. Go, and then you can use simple resources, like I said. You can use indicatives. You can pin up badges, and you can ask children to just make their little groups and then sit in a larger circle. Now, what are the activities that you can do in each of these settings? Another very important part is that how does a 3-year-old, 4-year-old understand these settings? So once you decide that, okay, this is my list of activities, and is it going to be a pair working? Is it going to be a small group working? Is it going to be a large group working or a circle time? Is it going to be a team activity, or is it going to be an individual working? So when you do an activity design and you create an activity for the children, you break it up into any one of these settings. Once you think of the setting, then you think of how many resources you will need for that. For example, if you want to do simply matching the upper and lowercase letters, or if you want to do finding, objects that begin with a particular letter, or if you want to do number matching, or you want to do shape matching. So it all depends on the amount of resources you have. So if you have plenty of resources, a simple pair working works. If you have lesser number of resources, a small group activity works. And suppose this resource has to be moved from one child to the other, and you don't have scope for enough resources, then you seat them in a circle and you keep passing it on. Teamwork is only after the children become good with pair working, with circle time, with then you can put them in two teams and let them work a little independently. But till then, you will have to monitor these children. Individual working, we do suggest it to minimize it as much as possible. And imagine in today's times, during the time when you're doing online learning, it is the way the children are mostly learning. So classroom settings, in the sense that during online session and an offline session, when we do pair working, then what we do is we tag the children and say, okay, you both together. This little group is going to sing a song with for ma'am together. Today, all of us are going to sing together. So, of course, it's not as easy as it is in a live classroom, but even online, I have been watching and I have been encouraging teachers to be conscious of the fact that we can actually put the children into these small inner groups for them to learn, because they would feel more secure learning with another child, with a friend. And then you can create this small buddy system where they can also interact with each other. I think what happens during the online time, I've been noticing this, that children feel that little missing of the kind of situations that we can create for. So the similar setups, of course, not with as much ease as in a live classroom, but can be done. So I'm happily sitting and making my little smileys while I'm talking to you. So when you design activities, you have to look at the number of resources, see one of the 5 settings, and very important is to teach children patterns, in the sense that today we are going to work in pairs, tomorrow we are going to work in small group. So I always used to tell teachers, change the activity. Don't change the way you invite the child for that particular setting. For example, if we have to do pair working, then for pair working, routinely there will be an indicative. There is no standard indicative that I create. It could be anything. Like, for example, for pair working, I could just tell everybody, go find a partner and say hello. Or I could plan a circle time, or I could plan a pair song that says, it's time to say good morning, find a friend in red, or find a friend in blue. find a friend for me and find a friend for you. So it will be a standard song. So the minute I'll say find a friend, they know it's pair working time. Or if I say that, colors, colors dancing around, blue color, red color can be found. So if you have blue, go find your friends. If you have yellow, go find your friends. So that there will be a certain grouping standardized. Or if there is a circle time, so I will do that circle time song. I will change the activity, but I will not change the way I invite these children. Because what happens is the minute I start singing the song, the child sets it, the activity setting comes into the eyes of the child. So look at variety of for doing of activities, but don't keep changing the way you invite children for that particular setup. I think it really helps to kind of condition the children to responses. Then you don't spend too much of time getting the setup ready, and you can then spend more time doing the activity. So that's one big suggestion that I have. Set classroom rules. It's very important to set activity time rules. So your settings. What I used to always do is, and you must be wondering why I'm making these puppets for you. I will give you how I used to do my classroom settings and how they used to know that today the activity is going to be in what way. So what we used to do is we used to have this little smiley for every child. All right. And when they walked into this classroom, we would tell them that, okay, um, um, I have put up the smileys for you on your in the pockets. Go and have a look and see who your partner will be today. So I'm just going to put it up. These are 20 pockets. Many times when I'm talking to teachers, people will tell me, why do you recommend 40 children, or why do you talk about 40 children? In my experience of the last 30 years, normally that has been the strength I have seen in classrooms. Of course, like I said, I don't recommend it. 20 to 25 children is ideal, but that ideal strength doesn't happen. So how do you deal with these other things? You deal with it by pairing up the children. So just before, much before the children come, you pair up the children, and automatically the children learn how to read their own names. For the very small children, we don't use puppets, we use their passport size photographs, so that even if they can't read their own name, they know that this is my friend and I have to sit with this particular friend of mine. And also what we used to do is we don't change this setting very often. Like they would be pairs for friends for almost a week. So they come, they check the pair and they say, oh, Shreyansh and Ananda are going to be together, or Raman and Aditya are going to be together, or Pradyut and Tisha are going to be together. So they pair up. Now, how do we, so this is a setup that allows them to know that, oh my God, today the activity is in pair setting. How will the children get to know that today the activity is going to be a small group setting? So what I did was I chose 10 colors. I always have kept my groups to 10 because it's very easy to manage 10 groups in a classroom. If you have a class of 30 children, you put 3 children in a group. If you have 40 children, you put 4 children in a group, and I really hope and pray we don't have more than that in each classroom. But grouping of 10 makes it very simple for a teacher to organize her classroom. Now, if you're going to make 10 groups, you choose 10 color hats. So when you put those colors together, you know that this lot is going to work together today. Or if you choose that no, we are going to mix up the children, then you take a group of 4 children of 4 different colors and say, okay, you will make a group today. So again, the classroom setting changes and the children go and they actually look at who is going to be in their group today. So it makes the children very independent. So a lot of these 4 group will come all over, and then that means, oh my God, today we are going to do small group working in a classroom. It could be a combination of girls and boys. It could be a combination of all girls It doesn't matter. We don't really make it so specific. And then we put numbers on this pocket. And then we put the resources in bowls. So the children will know that the resource can be found in the bowl. They will check the pocket and the number and go and find their friends, pick up the resource and do the activity, and then deposit the resource back. So a whole cycle of activity management happens. This is a little place card. It's a simple, I don't use very expensive resources. It's a simple place card which has got numbers from 1 to 12 written on it, so that in case you want to make 10, 12 groups, and each bowl according to the number is placed in the correct thing. So how did you design your activity? Today we decided we want to do flashcards or we want to do word building. So we picked up bowl number from 1 to 10. We put the resources in those bowls. We put them on the thing, placed it at the level where the children can reach with ease, told them that, okay, look at your wall, and each wall, please remember, like over here, I haven't put numbers, but I would just put numbers from 1 to 10 and say, go check who all are there in group number 1, who are there in group number 2, who are there in group number 3, so on and so forth. And you will be so surprised that these little children actually find their groups. Maybe not the beginners, just the very tiny children, they may not be able to find it. But as they grow, even by the end of lower kindergarten, these children would walk in, they'll look at the setup and they'll say, oh, pair working or small group working. And large group working would, of course, be the circle time sound. So standardize your processes. I think that becomes, and change your activities. One day you could be doing word building, tomorrow you could be doing art, the next day you could be doing story sequencing cards. So 2-3 things happen when you do this. One is that the child very clearly understands what is the activity setting for today. Is it going to, and we are not going to do activities the whole day, right? So you do like specific activities during the day, and you can change this pattern. And because it's all manipulative material, you can actually get children to work together, to get into pairs, and it becomes so easy for the teacher to manage the activity. And specifically when you do these bowls and you have to distribute and collect material, a couple of very important things happen. One is leadership. Automatically you'll see children playing the role of leaders. You'll have the quietest of children who will take control of their friends. They will pick up the resources. They'll say, aise mat karo, let's put it back properly. And without you really realizing it, there is so much more than word building happening at that particular point. So the child walks in, children are mindful what the setting is going to be. The children are mindful on who their partner is going to be. The children are mindful on who their group is going to be. And they're mindful that the resources are lying there. They have to go and pick them up. Look at the amount of time of the teacher that gets saved. She then can actually stand and overlook the activity and genuinely facilitate it. Rather than being the person conducting the activity, she can actually facilitate the activity right from the setting. So designing the activity, getting the resources ready, getting the setting right, and most importantly, making the children independent. During the online, it's not going to happen with the kind of ease that would happen in a classroom, right? But these are small indicators that you can tell the children, today so and so, so and so, so and so are going to do the rhyme together, or today I'm going to give you each a letter and you people all have to build one word for me. Or so just maybe it's like I said, it's not easy, but still try and group them together as much as possible. And like I told you, when I was talking to you, I made all my 20 little children. Sometimes it's so important for a teacher to imagine her 40 children and how she is going to set the activity for them. That if we figure out in our heads, it works really well. Another thing that works really nicely is the hand movement. So when you're setting an activity, also set the number of instructions to do the activity. So once I have set up that, first you will find a partner, then you will pick up your resources, then you will sit down in your place, and then the next activity. So you ask the children, everybody close your left hand. So the children, their fist facing themselves, they close it, and the instructions or the steps for the activities are done from left to right. Normally, you don't do them with the right hand. Even if your child writes is a left-hander, they will do the instructions with the left hand because the reading happens from left to right. So first, this starts as an instruction hand or step-by-step hand. Then it becomes the phonic hand, like the k, at. And then as the children grow, it becomes the hand for the syllables. Hippopotamus. Normally, 5 syllables, more than 5, are not there. And if they are there, then, by the time the child has learned how to write and build words. So this talking hand, this setting hand becomes the instruction hand for every setting of the activity. Once the children, the first step starts with what is the activity setting. So either sit by yourself or find your partner, find a small group, find your team, or come and sit in a circle. So step 1 is the activity setting. Step 2 is where the resources to be picked up from. Step 3 is where are you going to put the resource and work? Put it on a mat, put it on the table, go to that corner, and then after all that is there and the children are seated, then we give them the next set of activities. So what happens is, this is something which I have experimented for years of my life. So the minute I would give them an activity, they would, they would stand with their hands like that. So I would say, find a partner, pick up your bowl, go sit on the mat. So they would keep looking out, oh, are there mats to be put today? So the minute I would say find a partner, one child would go pick up the mats, the second child would go pick up the resources, and my activity became so easy to implement. So, and how is it that some teachers will organize the same activity in a much better way, and some classes are chaotic? There'll be just chaos all around because there is no clarity of instruction to the child. Absolutely instruction. So sometimes you just want the child to go pick up their own thing and do it. But in large classrooms, that really is not possible. So clarity of instruction, clarity of setting. Now, sometimes it's very interesting that, when you put up the pairs or you put up a small group, the children change their names perfectly all right. Because there is no one form of working with children together, that only the bright ones, only the one who needs help. Any kind of child should be able to work with any kind of child. And that is how you actually see them blooming and helping each other without feeling, that I'm better or they just do it so naturally. Another thing that I think helps in classroom setting is the correct furniture. In the Montessori, we suggest chalkies. We suggest square chalkies or rectangular chalkies where the child can pick up. And I find even now that to be one of the most practical settings of furniture ever, because I can arrange chalkies in a row when I'm doing, word building or a math activity. I can arrange them in a group of 4 and have children sitting around when I'm doing an art activity. I can have just 2 chalkies and have children sitting on either side if I don't have enough time to pick up 4 chalkies. So square arrangements of furniture are always simpler. Another thing with furniture is how fast it can move around, like in the sense that you have some very flimsy furniture, and at that time it just gets so chaotic in the class. So correct furniture, not very expensive, doable, which the child can pick up and put on their own, or 2 children can pick up together. and settings can change. With round tables, what happens is many times the children cannot change the setting. Then that becomes the standard setting. So this is just one way which I found easier. Of course, furniture and arrangements could be different, but it really helps to have the correct furniture which can be maneuvered, which can be changed. For example, when we are doing team working, I can just put the chalkies, like 10 chalkies here and 10 chalkies there, and seat the children, and I'll have two teams working. So for maneuverability and for adjusting of activity settings, it's also very important to keep the furniture in mind. What kind of furniture do the children have in the classrooms? So sometimes, you get this really fancy furniture and you realize that you're not able to, connect it to each other, or there'll be gaps in between the furniture. Things will keep falling down. Slant furniture, which is so difficult for children to manage. So when you are actually setting up your classrooms and you want a good activity-based environment, all these things will matter. It will not be just the activity. Okay, let's do activity-based learning. No, for the activity-based learning, you need proper setup. You need, and many times I used to ask schools, so why don't you do activities? Ma'am, there's not enough time. It's because your activity design is so complicated. You have not made your children independent. You have not taught them how to do pair working, small group working, large group working, and the child is not able to fathom in what setting the child is supposed to work. So when you do your curriculum design, you have to think of distribution, collection of material, how much of resource do we have, and most importantly, when the resource comes back, how are we monitoring which child needs corrective? Sometimes the resource is given back in such a chaotic manner, and because you have not numbered the balls or because you don't have the group numbers, you don't know who has returned that to you. So how does the corrective happen? Because I feel for activity-based learning, the one most important thing is basic discipline in the classroom. Otherwise, the whole purpose of what we are doing the activity for gets defeated. So creating a systematic activity pattern, whether it is online, offline, I know it's much tougher because here the child is mostly doing individual work. But what we try and do, at least once in a week, I do suggest to them that, if the parent could participate or help the child to do one little activity in pair working. If you could just do one activity where the children, particular sets of children are singing a rhyme together, maybe four of them. Sometimes two children just, online, maybe playing a tap game or maybe a mirror game. I know it's going to be difficult, but it will help you to create a structure which is similar to the classroom structure. So I think these are very important things. I used to always say that for me, an activity-based learning doesn't mean a list of activities. It means my basic design. It means in which order am I going to invite the children? In which setting am I going to put them? What are the kind of resources I'm going to use? Am I going to make them sit on a mat, on a dari, on a table? Children have the rules. Do they follow the rules? Do we have a pattern which says that this is how resources are to be taken back, or this is how to put the resources? Do we teach them how to be independent? Do we teach them that there is a place for everything and each resource goes back in that place, and ma'am is not the one going to put it, neither is the help going to put it. You have to do it. I have seen the best environments, very disciplined, resources recycled, taken care of, even to the extent where children finish their bowls of activities and they deliver them to the next, environment or the classroom, so that that class could actually use their resources and cycling of resources. So activity setting is that important. If we can get it right, our whole way of doing, our whole processing will change. I think that is why I thought that today I must, spend this time just explaining to everybody that these are the 5 settings. Individual working we should reduce as much as possible. Working becomes very interesting. Small group working, large group working, team working. And you know what is so important is clarity of instruction. So close your fist, let them open up and do instruction, let them pick up the resources, let them find their partners. And you know what is important is keep the instructions simple. For little children, that is the beginners, don't have more than 3 instructions. For the level 1, that is the LKG child, 3 to 4 instructions and never more than 5 instructions. So your activity setting, your activity design, I think if you can get the instructions right, it works so well. For example, I'll give you a small example of an activity. I want the children to take these sticks in a bowl. Okay, so this is my activity today. That my children have to take this bowl, they have to go and sit down in their places, and each child has to make a bundle of 10. That's my activity today. So if there are 4 children, I'll have 40 sticks in each bowl. I'll have 4 rubber bands. I'll have the activity setting up there. I'll have a number put there saying group 1, please go, you know, who's going to go and check who's there in group 1. That's the first step, right? So I could probably just give little, small like the iCard folders or just numbers to the children. And I can say that, okay, whoever has 1 today or whoever picks up the slip of 1, go check out there. So I will coordinate that my children go and check out there, or I can just allot a child, or I can just announce that, you know, these 4 children are group 1, these 4 children are group 2, these 4 children are group 3. Go quickly, pick up your bowl. The children go pick up their bowl, organize themselves, sit on the mat. They make their bundles of 10. They place it in front of them and the activity is sorted out. Once this is done, you can tell them that, can you all show me the bundle of 10 for the children who have made each bundle? And you cannot say, I have finished till till everybody doesn't do the activity. So you will see children taking it, helping each other. So now we have, all of us have bundles of 10. So place it in front of you. So each child places the bundle in front of them and says that I have 110. Very good. So 10 and 20, 30 and 40. So we have 4 bundles of 10. Very nice. Now put them back in the bowl and now go and put them back on the table. So the number 2 will go back on the number 2, the 3 will go back on the 3, that is on the placemat, on this placemat. So distribution, collection, placement, and in 5 to 8 minutes, your activity is done and sorted. Otherwise, if you have to distribute the material, you have to collect the material, how then the whole focus of what you're doing for the activity goes away. So that's the importance of the setting and this little, arrangement that I was talking about. So today's activity to carry back with the, and you know, these little smiley things that you make, this can be a great resource for the children grouping. The hats can be matching, the first letter can match. You can make this as a part of the alphabet freeze. You can have your attendance with this. You can use it even during this particular time online where you actually flash it and say that today this is how I'm taking the attendance. These are the 4 children who are going to work together. So it will just help to create that little wonder for the children. Your addition can be done, your sequencing can be done, your grouping can be done. You can make your pairs. There's so much. But look at the resource, and it is just such a simple resource to use, right? So I very quickly, individual working to be reduced as much as possible, team working to be done once in a while, large group working for all the circle time, a lot of small group working for all the art, word building, addition, number work, and pair working works like magic for children, specifically who are having learning difficulties. It works like magic. So peer learning, working, putting them all together, all this to be taken care of. And today's activity list that you, which Sejal has done for us, is a beautiful list which has got the domains. So all the domains are listed out there, and we have to think of an activity setting for each domain. So for personal social development, can we do pair working? Can we think of one small group working activity and one large group working, maybe circle time? So try and fill in activity lists according to these three basic working environment for in today's circumstances also. So pair working, small group working, and large group working for different domains, and see how this works. I really hope that children come back soon with this whole wave of what's happening. We have to get all our skills in place, all our disciplines, all our patterns, all our processes, so that when they come back, we not only introduce them to activity based learning, we introduce them to patterns and a certain discipline, a certain way of being, and take that forward, because I think in today's circumstances that is the most important part of what we are looking at in the environment today, right? Next week I'm planning to work on a whole lot of activities, exercises of practical life, of daily home activities, and the kind of skills the children will learn through each of those activities. So I'll list out a whole lot of activities for different domains, and see that during this time, it's almost, I'm told, a lot of schools are closing down for the summer break. And I think it will also help to give this list to the parents. So next week, instead of perhaps asking you to make a list, I'll try and make a list of activities, of exercises which the children can actually do as a routine at home, and create an environment of happy learning. So yeah, build your little smileys, get your settings right, get your indicators in place, set the rules, be consistent, have clear, short, crisp instructions, keep it simple, keep the instructions on the hand from left to right. Allow this to become the hand which will help the child to maneuver and understand one step at a time. This becomes a beautiful ability to sequence a thought as well as spell, segment, and blend later, and then the syllables. So this one little instruction hand and activity time can take us forward. And I do hope that you found this little session useful, and you will give us feedback on that. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. And it's, last week when I had just sat down for my session, I had realized I lost my smell. And today, when I was coming back for the session, it's come back. So that 1 week of rest and recoup, and it's always pleasure to come back and meet all of you. It also just kind of gives me a little energy to do my work, to recap. Like today, I made these puppets after ages, but yeah, I was able to manage them. And like I said, I built 20 of them while I was talking to you. So thank you so much, and have a good weekend, have a safe time, and see you back next week.
Square, square, panda.